Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I wanted to cover with you another important homestead chore, and that is cutting and splitting firewood. I'm going to kind of show you around, show you what our current setup looks like, and just to let you know that this was our, very temporary quick setup that we made just in order to be ready for this winter. So this is our one side of our pole barn. The prior owners built a lean-to on the outside of it, which is very nice. And because we weren't able to build a wood lean-to over the summer like we had wanted to, this was our temporary solution for this winter. So my husband put up some tarps to help keep the snow out. We could really use another tarp over there as well. It is kind of nice because when I have rogue wood pieces or chips that we don't want to keep, I just kind of chuck them out there into the woods, so that's okay. Then we have this fabulous small but mighty DR power equipment from Country Home Products, and we got this for $30 at a garage sale, so I could not be happier. If you have been looking into log splitters, you know as well that they are very expensive, so this was a fantastic. It did come with this stand, and while it's heavy, it is a little bit rickety for keeping this on there. This is very heavy. And there's a little, not so much kickback, but there's some movement that happens with it, right, as you're splitting logs. So we found that it was easier, better to put in pellets for now. We'll come up with a different solution, I'm sure, in the spring and summer. Because part of this is, it has a safety switch here. So you have to be pressing this and then pushing the lever down in order for it to work, which is totally fine. But then you're in this awkward spot a lot for your back, so that's not great the way we have it, but you can do this better. But we have loved it. We used it a lot in the fall. We got it at an end of summer garage sale anyway, so it was like perfect timing. It was exactly what we've been praying for. Like I said, we have obviously a lot of wood around here, and we had chopped some wood, brought it up to the house, had it sitting here in piles, and really needed to get it chopped and ready. So believe it or not, these two pallets for the wood storage actually stacked to about here all the way across, and we've already used it all. Now I'll go inside later, and I've shown it I think in one other video, I think in my channel purpose video. We do have a fireplace. That's obviously what we're using it for. It is an ambience fireplace from 1989. Believe it or not, no one had used it in all that time. So we were the first users of it 2 years ago when we moved in. Now we are going into our third winter. So good news is it was in pristine condition in that way. But it really just heats the room that it's in. It's not meant like a wood stove, which we eventually want to install. It's not meant to push heat out into the whole house and kind of give an even or give so much heat that you just don't know what to do with kind of thing. But it does really help. It's 15 degrees here right now. It's going to get even colder, and the forecast says we're getting snow starting tonight at around 11 p.m. and then it's going to go this whole week. Today is a Sunday. The forecast is showing like it's going to go through next Friday, so we do want to help that supplemental with our current heat that runs off of electric and propane, unfortunately. Just to kind of help offset that cost and offset that need for those things to just be continually running. So my goal today is to chop at least enough for a few days, not trying to chop enough to fill that up. I don't have enough time to do that today. But part of the reason that we have run out of this whole pile already is because that ambiance fireplace, a lot of times with logs, if it's kind of a medium or small sized log, smallish, you just want to chop them in half and then you're good. With an ambiance fireplace, they need to be, you'll see as I start chopping some logs, but they need to be chopped smaller, and then they just burn faster in the fireplace, unfortunately. So we were constantly feeding the fireplace wood. And yes, you'll do that with a wood stove as well, but it lasts a whole lot longer. I grew up with wood stoves. I know lots of people who had them, still have them now. I've been around wood stoves my whole life, and they definitely do burn more efficiently than like an ambiance fireplace. So going over some of the other tools that we have here to assist us with our log splitting process are a mallet. Sometimes the wood, as it's getting split right here, will get stuck on the log splitter. So all you got to do is just a few firm taps to get it back off of the log splitter, and you can either determine if maybe that one just isn't going to work for your log splitter, or angle it a different way and try again. So that's very helpful. This I got at the beginning of the season, and we've been very happy with it so far. It is by Feed Garden. It's a wood carrier for taking it into the house. I have really liked it. I'll put the link in the description. This is not a paid advertisement, by the way. But we have really liked this. And you kind of think, okay, well, great, but then it's still going to be heavy. I'm going to fill this up and I'm still going to be having to carry heavy wood on one side. I actually do not have a good back, so that was something I wondered if this was really going to be useful for us. But I'm also not a large person either, or like with big arms, so I can only carry a few logs at a time. That I can carry quite a few logs in it, so I'm making fewer trips back and forth out. And it doesn't hurt my back, actually. It's pretty decent, and you could switch it up, carry it on your right and your left just to break that up if you need to. So it's certainly very durable, the material that it's made out of, so it's very helpful. The next tool I would recommend is some kind of leaf blower. I've actually used it quite a bit for snow. So before we had the tarp up and we got a big surprise snow, the tops of the wood all had snow on them, and we didn't want to bring that into the house, obviously, and you don't want that melting on the wood and making it wet again. So I came out here with my handy leaf blower and got all of the snow off of that. And then I also realized that it's good for kind of keeping this area cleaned up, which is something that I want to do today as well. When you're splitting wood and you're just carrying it back and forth to the house, you get a lot of wood chips and debris, and you should just keep that clean. You know, it's going to happen and that's fine, but you don't want it to build up. One tip I'll give you too, if you have a log that looks something like this and you've got this awkward straggler piece on there that obviously you're not supposed to try to split that or put it on the log splitter that way. Find a hard surface such as your cement or somewhere like that. And there you go, problem solved. See, this one's a little bit tall for where the center points of the splitter are. You'll notice how the logs fell just then. They usually will fall off to either side, or one might still be up here, etc. Sometimes though, if you get a piece of wood that's really knotty, or just for whatever other reason, pieces of the wood can come back at you, which is why I kind of scrunch down and I look the other way. Technically, you should probably wear safety goggles while doing this. Most of the men I know don't. That's just my way of making sure nothing gets in my eyes. I have had some go backwards, but usually it falls to the side or it'll split and go out that way. So just something to know if you're going to be using something like this. I forgot to mention, you'll also want some kind of gloves to wear. Today I'm just wearing, I think it's my kids' you know, just those cheapy cotton gloves because it was all that I could find at the moment. But especially obviously doing this in the winter, gloves are really important to keep your hands warm, and that just helps keep splinters off of your hands. And then I also just wanted to mention my husband and usually his family members, they will cut the wood out in our woods. We have 32 wooded acres, so free resource there. You just have to put in the time and the labor. So they're the ones that run the chainsaws, chop the wood, bring it up to the house, and then obviously to help out, I usually do this part. He certainly can, but he's already put in a whole lot of time and effort. Anybody else who's cut wood knows that that is a lot of effort there. So I usually do this part when I have some time, just so that we're able to keep up on it. I forgot to tell you guys earlier, in case you're interested, what type of leaf blower I was using. So it is the Mueller Garden 20 volt lithium ion battery. Here's some more of the details on it. Battery operated, cordless, not needing gas, those kinds of things. And then here's just a little bit that I did today and kind of for purposes of the video. I'm not worried about how pretty it looks, but really this is close to how you'd want to stack it. I've got a couple of different piles. That's the thicker wood. This is the slightly thinner wood. I know it doesn't look like it, but it is. And then back here is an example of like a gnarly piece of wood that I think we were able to split. But as you can see, those awkwardly shaped pieces of wood are going to be hard to put in the log splitter, so we might need to axe that later on instead of using log splitter. And for the type of fireplace that we have, these are more perfect size length as well, and that's just a little too big. And of course in the process you'll get these little pieces that come off. Again, we do like these. They kind of help with the fire starting process in our fireplace, so I'll bring those in the house as well. And then here is the first bag that I'm going to bring in shortly. Another thing you want to try to do is get as much of the bark off as possible. Again, we're not too worried about it. We did have the fireplace cleaned professionally this fall to just make sure there was no creosote buildup, but apparently leaving the bark on and letting that burn in your fireplace or your wood stove even can cause that creosote to build up, which is what traditionally is one of the reasons that people would have fires, because of wood stoves or wood heat in various types in their home. So sometimes in the splitting process you get a chance to break it off and it'll come off in chunks. If the wood is really well seasoned, it's easier to strip off. A lot of times my husband will just take the axe to it and kind of, you know, he'll chip around the edges that have the bark on them and then it slides right off. Our wood is roughly well seasoned. There's so much of it here. Some of it's already fallen, so some of it is very well seasoned but has been out in the woods a long time. Others, there were trees that came down about a year ago, so we're working with wood that's been seasoned for at least a year. But I think the preferable is for the wood to be at least 2 years old, and that makes it very dry, so it's going to burn better. It makes it a lot lighter when you're doing this part of the job or carrying it around as well. So wood ash is actually very good for the garden and the chicken coop, in particular for chickens to dust bathe. You can put it in your compost pile. It helps with the overall composting process and just adds nutrients to the soil. We do use fire starter sticks now, but I would like to make my own fire starter sticks or other fire starters in the future. And because of the type of fireplace that it is and the wood that we're using is not completely seasoned, sometimes it can be hard to get a fire started. For me, my husband's excellent at doing this. I am not so much. he sees this video today and this doesn't take off, he's probably going to tell me, hey, you know, you did it wrong again. The way I try it though, it seems like it should work, and it just doesn't always work. I end up having to use several fire starters before it works. He can do it in one. But then again, he did grow up in the jungle and spend a lot of time outside, so I think he has a different skill set. Well, I promise I didn't cheat. We're still starting with that same fire starter stick, and it seems like it's going to be okay. Well, that's going to do it for today's video, everybody. Please like, subscribe, and check out the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description of this video. Also, look at the couple of products that I mentioned in this video. They will be there as well in case you're interested in looking into them. Have a great day.